Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. How's everyone doing? Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Sterling. Sorry to hear about your mother. Everybody who wants to, please send prayers to Sterling and his mother. Again, that's what we're all here for. Thank you, Patrick. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Jake. Good morning, Jacob. Got an update this morning for Ecamm Live. I was hoping it would fix the name issue, but it hasn't. Good morning, Mark. Good. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Jake. What are my top picks for 20? I think I think we're going to definitely see a market shift away from some of this momentum and AI stuff into more dividend and value. I finally think we're going to get that shift. But until I see it happen, I'm not betting on it. That's interesting information, Sterling. 15% of home purchases fell through in October. What else? Yes, the ADP number was pretty bad this morning, down 32K of job losses versus expected 10K. What else do we have? Good morning, David. Delta Airlines sees 200 million profit hit citing government shutdown. I wonder how much stuff's going to be getting blamed on the shutdown next quarter, especially with earnings. Good morning, Heinrich. I got that. Good morning, Daniel. Uh, what's this strategy? Stock gains as CEO plays down. What's Sailor played down as concerns about a possible MSCI index removal, saying it won't matter. Oh, you don't want my thoughts on that. We get natty gas breaking out to the upside, continuing the trend with the cold snap in the U.S. Uh, good morning, Microsoft. You're saying good morning to Microsoft and not me? uh, oh boy. Thanks, Daniel, for thoughts and prayers for Sterling. What else? Good morning, Anissa. Good morning, Yogesh. All right. We'll wait for more people to filter in. We have mortgage information out this morning. The big number was AEB with everybody focused without the government data. Everybody focused on the ADP numbers. Down 32K is Sterling posted in there. Import and export prices were flat year over year. Export prices up 3.8, import prices up 0.3. More important, the numbers coming out after the cash open, we have the S&P Composite and Services numbers and the ISM Services numbers. Again, I'm keep watching employment, which went into contraction, and prices, which is still very elevated, and that's at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then it's just the EIA numbers for crude traders, and that wraps up the day in terms of data. In terms of your map, Microsoft was green before. What is going on here? What happened with Microsoft? Was Microsoft lowers AI software sales quotas as customers resist newer products? There's a pretty big shift. Netflix is also down earlier, but that made a substantial shift going into the open. So things are turning red into the open. So that's going to change the groups, which were almost all good. Now, technology and comm services starting to pull back. Basic materials and energy leading it higher. I see that, Jake. It looks like the NASDAQ did just puke. Now down 53 basis points. Down and accelerating. All right, we shall see. We'll get to looking at that in a second. Fed Watch still has 88.8% for the cut next week. 1 week from today, fear and greed still extreme fear. Schiller PE 40.31. Earnings, both Dollar Tree and Macy's were beats. Dollar Tree and Macy's were beats. All right. Well, there's our little reversal in the S&P. We'll get to the NASDAQ in a second. I'm going to be watching on this pullback, the 6,800 area. Let's check the 4-hour rotation zone, which was flattening out. So again, if it closes below the rotation zone, I'm looking at the 6,800 area for a potential bounce pattern. If we break below there, If we break below there, then I'm closer to about 67.75. And then if we really got some selling pressure in here, 67.50. That's it. To the upside, this key resistance shelf is holding this right here. So on any bounce, 68.55 is the first key major target for me. Then we have 68.75. Those will be the two upside targets. The NASDAQ, there's your puke in the NASDAQ. Now talking about the bottom of the 4-hour rotation zone, which has been holding recently. If that shifts, then I'm looking, if we get some more downside, then I'm looking closer to right around 23,275 to 23, just above 23,300 for the next key pattern, for the next key potential support area. Where does that put us on the daily? That puts us right at the daily rotation zone. So that's where we sit right there. Again, if we had a much bigger puke, if something really happened in the market, I'm watching the 50 EMA on the NASDAQ, which is coming in roughly about 25,000. And on the S&P, if we had the bigger drop, I'm looking 67.50. The Dow, which was flirting to break out of this channel line, now also pulling back. Key support in the Dow is roughly around 47,300. 47,300 in the Dow to Dow. Right there. To the upside, still has its 75% harmonics. Just use the harmonic targets to the upside still, besides the ones I listed in the S&P. The Russell, again, the small caps don't have much to do with the little puke. We're still in a channeling pullback. Still in a channeling pullback pattern. So key support area is about 24.62 to about 24.57 is where I'm looking if it does pull back further. I will be keeping an eye. If we break out above, it's a stair-stepping channeling pattern, so I'm paying attention. My first little is 24.90. And then, if you're wondering, yes, this was technically a double top also, right here. So you can use those to the downside, but it's turned into a channeling double, which is almost all played out. So there's your final target according to the double is 2464.6. The VIX, oh, little bounce in the VIX with the pullback, but we do have a potential double bottom. So I am still looking for pullbacks because the probability shift, unless we start getting acceleration above 1852. That's going to be my, so 1850 is going to be my key line in the sand for the VIX. The DAX, still, there is technically a double top here. Is technically a double top right here that would reverse this move. And that would also be, it would get back below the 200. So first thing, same as yesterday, I'm paying attention to the 200 SMA right around 23,600 or the 50 EMA, 23,900. Other than that, we're caught in that range. The yields pulling back. The yields pulling back. That's pullback started before this little NASDAQ reversal. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on there. But we've had a couple decent days of yield rises. So I'm going to see, this was, I believe, mainly off the ADP numbers coming out. Little weakness there. 30 year, still no trigger on the inverse head and shoulders. So key resistance is still holding. Nothing to talk about there unless that breaks. Crude was running up again to the top of the channel. Sold off a bit since then. That's just is just a mess. I'm still watching if we hold this for watching a retest of the bottom of the channel area. First areas of 58 though, and then remember there's buying pressure under 58. 57.50 to 58. Natty gas, again, continuing the move higher. Natty gas, we might be getting some divergences. There is no short opportunity left yet, and the anything key supports back to 4.40. So it would be super aggressive shorts, and there's no pattern yet. But key support 4.40 on the prior break area, and based off the dailies about 4.6. 4.6. Gold holding key support yesterday and trying to rotate back up. There's a pretty strong resistance level at this 42.75 area. Breaks above there, we could see a quick acceleration of 43.35, 43.36. Again, we got the rising rotation zone starting to separate. So on any pullbacks, I'm still looking for bullish plays in gold. Silver, now holding above the top of the channel line. Silver does have, this does not invalidate it. It's still a potential double top. There's not enough separate. This was not pulled back far enough. So that's the only thing, and I would not be shorting it. I'd be looking for pullback plays if that were to happen. That would just take us back, and that first target would be key, just above 56. Interesting enough, copper. Copper going to be watching today if it closes back above the 62.5. Dollar index. We had a little potential double, which this spike down took it off the table, and now a little bounce in the dollar, but it has confirmed, but not triggered the double top pattern. So we're going to be watching to see where this closes today. That's going to be key right there. That is going to be key. Euro has confirmed. We're going to be watching to see if it triggers the double bottom pattern. The yen, the 30-year yields in Japan still continuing to climb. So this is good. This is very interesting. And here's your 10-year pausing at the harmonic cluster, now coming up to the next 1.9. Again, yields in Japan. They introduced new stimulus, but are they also going to hike with stimulus coming in? Going to be very interesting for the yen, and the yen could definitely break something. This could get interesting. I'm watching the yields more so than the yen right now. We had the little Heinrich. Is Heinrich in here yet? As you pointed out, the double bottom in the pound triggered, pull back to the candle body between the peak and the candle bodies and the first cross rotation zone. First target just hit. Thank you for Heinrich for that one. All right. Bitcoin. Yesterday, triggered a percent B buy. We did not get to drop into the double territory. Percent B buy. I'm still watching for follow through. Okay, we did trigger a percent B buy yesterday. I'm still watching for a close still above this peak of 93,162. If we do that, and this will be the targets. This is the first key area, though. This is an aggressive percent B buy because it is against a flattening rotation zone. But my targets are around 98,600 area. Then I'm looking at least to raise a stop right around 100 to 101, and then next target area is 103. And then this is also an advanced clear path move. So based off just the advanced clear path move, I'd be looking at the breakdown zone, this 101,300, and the end of the clear path move, 105,600. However, we have the 50 in the way. So that's going to technically be my first target. And then between these two targets, I got the 50% harmonic. So I'm splitting those two targets. It's still got to close before I'll consider those targets. It's still got to close above that peak. All right. So that's where we sit there. What else? We got the spiders. We got the spiders gonna now go to a little gap down. So if we get buying pressure, it's the gap fill 681.53, and then key resistance is still 683.40. If we break down below 678.80 area, I'm looking for a return and a possible gap fill back to 675.02, which takes it into the daily rotation zone. The Qs, which will now have the gap down because the futures are lower based off that Microsoft news. So 618.55. The first target for me will be about 619.50 on a rally, and then to the gap fill 622. If we continue to break down below 617.20 area, I'm then going to be looking closer to about 613.70. And the dog is snoring in the background. All right, that's where we sit with everything there. Uh let's glance at Microsoft real quick, which remember has triggered a massive double top pattern. A massive double top pattern coming down to the 50, bouncing and now rolling over. So could we easily see continued pullback in Microsoft? 460.83, 446 roughly, 429, 429.30. So there's your targets. We still have that very nice weekly double top. Bounce back to the trigger point. So we could see still some pressure in Microsoft. Oh, separate from news over the next few weeks just from the patterns. Is there a percent B buy on strategy? There's only one strategy in strategy. Well, there was a setup potentially on Monday that did not trigger yesterday. So today does not have a percent B buy. No, there is not one. All right. I just got to go through these and I have to actually jump and get on a phone call. So, Dollar Tree, slight gap up due to earnings. Has not been able to close above the 6.2.5, so that's key to still watch 117.19. Other than that, I'm paying very close attention, and I'm drawing it from the conservative side because that's the only targets that work. That work. If it keeps grinding higher, you see if it comes up here, this does not work for potential double top. That's the only reason I'm drawing it from the conservative side. So if this does turn around and sell off over the next few days, I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. Otherwise, the magnet price moving up is still 117.19. Breaks above there, you have the 200 in place. But technically, if it can get above that, the targets become the 75% harmonic. Macy's, which is very overextended right now, did have a beat also. So there's your weekly on Macy's. There's your daily on Macy's. A little gap down today, but there's no significant topping pattern yet. You're welcome, Anissa. Thank you for giving best of health for Sterling's mother. All right, with that, I have to jump. Sorry for the shortened stream today. And again, thank you for Patrick and Rusting for tuning over and some other people on Rumble. I shall talk to everyone tomorrow. With that, bye for now.